services narrative emerge again. Does this feel like deja vu from past tech cycles?
I think if you look at over the last 50 years, the IT services industry has faced many changes. The web came, Y2K, package applications, Java, mobile. And every time we manage to transition the bulk of work from a previous way of doing things to a new way of doing things. This has always happened over the last 50 years. There are certain things different about it this time, though. One is the speed at which things are happening. If you just look over the last 6 months, how models have evolved and the ability to, construct families of agents or swarms of agents and ask them to do things. So one is the speed. The second is that the nature of the work itself. This is basically it is doing informational work. It is doing, the so-called white-collar work or coding, executing processes, things like that, which is at the heart of the services industry. So there are certain differences. But again, the fundamental equation is still the same. If we manage to transition ourselves, to transform ourselves fast enough to make AI a tailwind for ourselves, then this will be yet another reinvention example that we will be able to give looking backwards. But on the other hand, if we try to hold on to the way things were, then this will be the end of the current way of doing things. That is for sure.
But, I want to talk about the point, Vishal, that you were earlier making, disruption versus opportunity, because that's the nature of the beast, technology, right? And you see this play out in every cycle. In the near term, are we clearly in a phase of AI-led cannibalization of revenues for IT firms?
Both. I see both, Aisha. Clearly there is going to be a economic decline in the traditional projects, the traditional kinds of services. We are already seeing that. But at the same time, enterprises are absolutely hungry for advice on AI. I mean, I cannot provide this fast enough. There are too many enterprises who look for advice on what to do. Last night, at a similar time, I was speaking to another enterprise also in India. And they are desperate for advice on how do we bring AI in and so on. So I see both of these realities happening simultaneously. And what I don't see is that is the answer to the question, are we going to be able to transform fast enough to meet that demand, to rise to that demand?
But do you believe this disruption ultimately expands the total addressable market also in some way? Some are estimating that $300 billion to $400 billion by 2030 could be the opportunity.
For sure. But the question again is who will deliver that? Who will serve that need? And will we be able to provide the skills, the capabilities, the economics, the business model fast enough? You cannot say anymore that, oh, these 20 people are going to come and do this work, when 2 people with the help of a bunch of agents can do that work. So all of a sudden, you have to deal with the fact that there has been this dramatic compression in the work that was being done on the traditional business model. And so you have to somehow also deal with that. So it is I am an entrepreneur and I am thinking about this from the point of view of building from scratch. And so we see this as a full opportunity. But for companies that have a large legacy to uphold, you can see why this